Anthony, welcome to Real Vision.
Thanks a lot, Ash. Good to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. Before we get started talking about Credo, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and your journey into the space.
Yeah, no, happy to. I have been, since very early in my career, I've always kind of specialized in building frontier technology companies, kind of partnering with visionary technologists, finding product market fit, scaling the organization, and then a series of successful exits. And this is actually my fifth startup, so I'm a bit of a glutton for punishment, having been through a multitude of startups. And I've always been, really driven by, obviously the vision of what these new frontier technologies can be, and that's nonetheless so with blockchain. I mean, I think that the number of things that I've done in my career have always been, really quite ahead of the curve in terms of the potential, and have ended up becoming well established in large organizations. Two companies public on NASDAQ, one on the New York Stock Exchange, and my most recent company was a legal tech roll-up that was sold as part of a much bigger. And I came to this company via meeting my co-founder, Brian Spector, who is the technical visionary behind everything that we're building. And his background is having been, was one of the first group of developers at RSA, then went on and stayed with that company until it was public and 2,000 plus employees. Then went on to run a business unit at Incipher, which was the largest HSM manufacturer in the world, and started a company called Miracle, which was a zero-knowledge proof ID and authentication platform. And that's how he and I met. And I made an investment, a very early angel investment, into the idea Brian had been working on, and in 2019 made a much more substantial investment and joined as CEO.
So tell us about the vision for Credo. What was the need that you identified in the marketplace, and how are you going to go about solving it?
Yeah, I think that what Brian and his team saw early on was that, and the problem has just exacerbated as more companies have come into the market, as more assets, as more capital, as more participants have come onto the market, and it's this fragmentation of liquidity that has developed across the market, with assets being locked in custodians, assets being locked in underlying layer ones, and assets being locked on exchanges. And it just seemed antithetical to the whole idea of this decentralized programmable money, that there should be a way to, rather than relying upon the centralization of the control and custody of the assets, to bring the principles of decentralization to the control and storage and security and custody of assets. And that's really the hypothesis that we've built on, is bringing the decentralized custody and settlement to the market, allowing you to be able to take full advantage of what we believe is going to be a multi-chain universe.
Yeah. Anthony, if you will, tell us a little bit in detail about the nature of the problem. Talk a little bit about how these assets are currently segregated on their own chains and what challenges that creates.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a well kind of recognized issue, particularly if you are a trader who wants to be able to take advantage of multiple opportunities or arbitrage those opportunities across the market. And one of the key areas, obviously, that faces these individuals, these participants in the market, is that in order to be able to do that, they have to pre-fund all of the exchange operations in order to be able to trade, which is obviously not a very capital efficient way if I have to pre-fund every single exchange. As well, if I want to be able to swap assets, I have to, there's very few options of how I can be able to manage the swapping of those assets. I can peg them, I can wrap them, or I can create some sort of complex escrow structure in order to minimize counterparty risk. And all of that just it kind of makes the whole operational burden of the participants in the market much heavier to carry. It makes it difficult to be able to trade. It makes it difficult to be able to operate, and it makes it difficult to respond to real-time economic opportunities across the market, because there's so many series of delays and complex operations that need to be put in place in front of a transaction actually happening.
Yeah. Anthony, when you say that, you sound like a finance guy as much as a tech guy.
Well, it is, that is about finance. And I think that's, if you go back to, what inspires people, at least what inspired me to get into blockchain was, the potential that it has to revolutionize finance, and not just in the sense of crypto eating the world, but in the sense of having a financial system which is fundamentally more fair and available to everybody. And that doesn't just mean, the people that are unbanked, but also, people as they raise up in the financial ladder to be able to take advantage of this amazing technology and platform that's been developed.
Yeah. So others are working on this problem. Obviously, Polkadot, Cosmos. What is it that makes Credo different, and why do you feel it's uniquely positioned in the market?
Well, we do use a blockchain. We use a fork of the Tendermint protocol in order to, but we use it for a very specific purpose, which is to track assets on the underlying blockchain. And we don't do it in order to be able to build an alternate layer one. It's really designed as a layer two in order to be able to track the value that's held on an underlying blockchain, the ownership rights over those assets, and the governance structure over those, so that it operates effectively as a meta layer, or truly a layer two that allows you to be able to interoperate. And we don't see ourselves as in competition with Cosmos or Polkadot or Bitcoin or Ethereum. We see ourselves as a complement, because we allow for the existence and the development of this multi-chain universe, for this interoperability to be able to swap ownership rights across a layer two, rather than swapping assets across layer ones. And so our chain is very lean. It has very specific functions and very specific purposes, and it's not been designed in order to fulfill multiple use cases. It has a very specific use case, which is the custody and settlement of assets.
Yeah, you also mentioned governance, which is interesting. Tell us a little bit about how the ability to participate in governance works on Credo.
Yeah, I think it's was one of the core hypothesis when we were building out the project. I mean, the whole idea obviously started from this position of trying to bring some principles of decentralization to custody and the storage of assets. But another tenet of that hypothesis was to deliver an institutional grade infrastructure that would satisfy the requirements of institutional users from a perspective of performance, of security, and from governance. And in the way that the system is being delivered, it allows for participants, in order to be able to bring their assets to the network without any third-party concentration or any third-party dependency. So any user of the Credo network, when they bring their assets and into the Credo network, they're able to bring their own governance structure. So they don't have a third party. They are the custodians over their own assets. They can nominate authorized custodians to participate in that governance, but it's entirely under their control and within their own domain to decide. And secondly, in the way that we've designed the system, it allows for institutions to bring their own kind of corporate controls and hierarchy and governance over those, without having to contort those controls into a new way of operating. So it allows them to be able to have role-based securities, value-based authorization procedures that have a whole set of procedures around it. And all of this is being captured. All of this movement, all of this activity, all of these authorizations are being captured immutably within our blockchain, so that they can be reported, and they reported on, audited, and everything across our network is in segregated accounts. So individuals and organizations can have complete control over and purview of all of the assets that are moving within their ownership.
Hey, if you like this clip, be sure to check out the full interview and more only on realvision.com/crypto. It's 100% free. Sign up now.